Hello, lovelies. Welcome to Narc Free Formula. My name is Freedom. Thank you for joining me. In tonight's episode, I want to talk about narcissists and their ability to apologise or not. But before I start, can I just remind you, if you're liking my videos, please remember to like them, subscribe to the channel, and also if you want to help me grow the channel, please share the videos on other social media platforms. All right, let's get into this. So, narcissists and apologies. So just quickly, I suppose the first thing I want to say is I don't really like to kind of talk in absolutes, this kind of grey or white, black or white thinking. I kind of like to dwell in the grey zone. And what I mean by that is, when you say yes or no to this particular question, there might be someone at home who hears that and says, oh, well, mine apologizes, so therefore he's not a narcissist. This is not how you determine who is a narcissist. Okay, you need to determine it properly with the DSM-5. Okay, go through the criteria, the diagnostic criteria. That's the only way you'll actually know if you're dealing with a narcissist or not. So, getting back to the question at hand, yes, there are a few types of apologies that will come out of the narcissist's mouth. Narcissist, sociopath, or psychopath. From here on in, I was going to call them narcissists. So the first one is the fake apology. So you got to remember that narcissists have one goal, and that is to get what they want, which is usually fuel. So they will do whatever it takes to get what they want. And if that means sitting there and apologizing to you, then they will do it. It doesn't mean that they actually believe a word that they're saying, and it certainly doesn't mean that they're actually apologetic or sorry about anything. If anything, they're probably sorry that they got caught, or they're sorry that they have to apologize. That's what they're really sorry about, the fact that they actually have to apologize to you of all people, you who are so much lesser than them in their own mind. So, for example, you've caught them out cheating and you're about to leave. This is a time where the narcissist would apologize, and it would probably be quite a stellar performance. You would, as an outsider witnessing it, you'd probably think, wow, yeah, he really loves her. There might be tears, there might be, the whole shebang. They can do it. I've watched my ex put on the waterworks. He used to brag about, oh, look at me, I can make myself cry. That was a red flag in itself, but so they can cry, they can apologize. The end always justifies the means. All right, so number 2 of their apologies. This is the faux apology, which is also fake. And this is when they do this kind of big, over-the-top theatrical apology. And this is like a shock and awe kind of apology. So just for example, just say they've been apologizing and you're still walking out the door and you've gotten all the way down to the train station and you're about to hop on the train. This is the kind of apology where he will literally run down to the train station with tears streaming down his face and grab you last minute just before you get on the train and fall on his knees, clinging onto your legs, begging you, please, baby, please, I'm so sorry, crying, snot bubbles, the works. The whole I'll die without you if you leave me, please. Those kind of really desperate declarations of love and apologizing repeatedly. It means, once again, it means nothing. It's just a performance. And as I said, this is the kind of shock and awe because, more likely than not, you've never had a grown man chase you down the street sobbing like a child. that's the kind of stuff that makes people go, oh my God, he must really love me to be acting like this. But what you don't know is that narcissists just don't care. They don't care what other people think. The ends always justifies the means. So if he wants you to stay, he will do whatever it takes. And if putting on the performance of a lifetime is the way to stop you from leaving, then that is what he's going to do. So that's the crying, begging, fake performance. Oh, this is the other thing with it. So there's a kind of sinister note to that type of faux apology. And it is that, he's doing this kind of, I'm throwing myself upon your mercy. And it really feels like you're the one that's in control. And that's why he's doing it, to create this illusion that you're actually in control. But what you don't realize is if, for example, you don't accept his apology at that point, if you keep proceeding to try and get on the train or leave or whatever it is that you're doing, you may very quickly see him go from being this crying, sobbing, begging, I love you more than life, kind of that performance. You might witness him go from that to violent and controlling, just like that. As soon as he realizes that you're actually still going to get on the train, he could quite easily snap out of his lovey, begging, pleading stage and get to violent. Or another one of his acts. There's a whole kind of range of masks, acts, and behaviour that narcissists will use. So if their apologies don't work, they, as I said, they can quite easily just kind of go into another performance. So you're not actually in control. This is all them. They are in control of the whole goddamn thing. All right. So you're actually just being, manipulated by your emotions, because, when you're a normal, healthy human being and you see someone crying and begging, you can't help but feel sorry for them. You can't help but, want to console them, soothe them, love them. You don't want to hurt someone. So seeing this grown man on his knees begging and, crying, and of course that kind of brings out this maternal, caring, loving nature or side of you. So that's essentially why he's doing it. He's using your own emotions to manipulate you. He is putting on this performance. He's pretending to be this vulnerable, kind of broken, desperate man. It's none of which is true. It's all just manipulation. He's just trying to make you forget whatever transgression it was, whether, like I said, whether you caught him out cheating, whether he hit you, whether you've just had enough and you can't take it anymore. He's trying to get you to forget that and get focused back in, as you should be. This is what narcissists think. You need to get focused back in on him, right? Go back to being good. It's not about you, remember? It's about him. That's what he thinks, at least. All right, so the third type of apology that you will no doubtedly experience with the narcissist is the half-assed apology. And this is when you'll get the one-word apology. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. The whatever you say. Yeah, okay. No, you're right. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. And it's quite obvious that, yes, he's saying the word sorry, but there's nothing apologetic about that. And then he'll take it a little step further, so just say, I don't know, you still want to try and talk about whatever you're trying to talk about. Now it becomes, like I've said sorry, what else do you want from me? You're going to keep harping on. Like, how many times have I got to say I'm sorry? As I said, there's nothing apologetic about that apology. And yet, to a narcissist, in his mind, he could actually, with a straight face, tell someone, I apologize to her. I apologize to her all the time. but she never listens, and they actually believe their own lies. All right. And the fourth type of apology is the reverse psychology apology, which is, I'm sorry you made me so mad that I hit you. And that's just a version of the reverse psychology apology, but you get the idea behind it. Zero responsibility, zero accountability, 100% projection and 100% blame, and yet it looks, for all intents and purposes, like he's apologizing. He's saying the word sorry, or he's even saying, I apologize, I'm sorry, Another part of the reverse psychology apology is this kind of general just minimizing. So, for example, just say, I don't know, he's thrown you into a wall. This is always a good one. He's thrown you into a wall. So this kind of apology is when they say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I accidentally shoved you," or "I'm sorry. I accidentally tripped you up." So they kind of minimize. As I said, they take absolutely no responsibility for their own actions, and they minimize whatever it is that you're wanting an apology for, which is just another way of gaslighting you, confusing you, undermining you, and in general, it's just not healthy. Like, this is living like this is just so goddamn toxic. Like, it really is. It's just not, it's just not a life for anyone. All right. And regardless of whether or not they apologize, the cold, hard fact here is that they will do it again. And the reason that they'll do it again is because every single thing that they do has an agenda. None of this is by accident. None of this is just, or them making a mistake. I mean, they'll say that. They will say, "Oh, I made a mistake." But there is no mistake. They are, there's lots of different things that they're doing, but there's always an agenda. So, for example, they create fights so that they can leave because they've got somewhere to be. They've got some other woman that they're waiting to see, or someone that they want to go and talk to, or some kind of sneaking around that they just don't want you to know about. So they will deliberately create a fight, and that's usually when they'll come back and do the over-the-top theatrical, "I love you, I've never loved anyone like I love you," those kind of apologies. That's usually when they don't want you to ask too many questions, because ideally in their mind what they're going to try and do is they're trying to get through the apology with as little as few questions as possible, without you asking too many questions, without you focusing too much on the actual act. What they want to do now is they want to apologize and get you into bed, or apologize and change the subject. And if they can do it with this kind of love bombing apology, this over the top crying and "I love you," and "let's get married, let's have babies, you're the only woman for me" kind of apology, then they will have successfully changed the course of the conversation or argument. So, as I said, there's always an agenda. Always. And when you're in a relationship with them, it's hard to see what's going on. But when you've left the relationship and when you look back, it's amazing what you can see from a distance. They say hindsight's a bitch. It really is. It's quite fascinating. But anyhow, darlings, just remember that there's always an agenda with these blokes. An apology doesn't mean that they're sorry, and it certainly doesn't mean that they won't do it again, because they will. It's in their nature. They do not care about you. You will always only ever come second to them, or not even second. That's not even true in itself. You're not even second to them. You are on equal par with everyone else in the narcissist's reality. There is a narcissist up the top, and then everyone else is underneath, equal par with the bloke down the street and the woman at the deli, that guy that he met just the other night. You're on equal par with all of those people. And I don't know, there's not an apology worth it. There's not, an apology that could be big enough to actually make all of that be okay. Anyhow, lovelies, I'm going to leave it there. Yes, they can apologise. It doesn't mean anything, and it certainly doesn't mean it's not going to happen again. All right, lovelies, good night.